Billy, over the last few years, Alternatives has been using art of various types to engage young people, and there are now quite a few major artworks throughout the Shankill created by Alternatives and the young people. Give us an overview of what that whole sort of ethos is about.
Well, I mean, art or public art, about the Shankill, the murals are something that we're all aware of and they're constantly around us. It allows us to use creative ways of young people expressing themselves. It uses an art-based approach to actually highlight a number of issues. We've used a range of formats, from mosaics to mural painting to steelwork. And the idea is to allow young people, as I say, to highlight things that are important to the area, engage young people in a creative way of doing it and help them learn new skills. For us, although we're a restorative justice project, the themes and the issues that we have dealt with, not just the ones that you'll see on the Shankill Road here, but we've done school-based ones, we've done stuff around violence, we've done anti-drug murals, we've actually done international murals in Berlin. So we've collaborated with a number of different artists and we've also done art pieces ourselves. So for me, it's very much about giving young people a different way to get their voice heard.
Well, Billy, we're in front of an iconic piece of artwork here in Woodvale Park. Just tell us where this creation came from.
Okay, Pete, this piece, the Tree Project, was commissioned by Belfast City Council and we worked in collaboration with an artist, Alan Cargo. The idea and concept was that the community wanted something that would represent its surroundings, obviously, and the tree obviously does that set in the park, but it also, if you look at the materials used, it also represents the industrial heritage of the area. So the likes of the girders and the steel cogs and the engineering. The young people obviously looked at plans and the background of what would go into it. So we looked at the culture of the area, we looked at the locations and landmarks of the area, and we also looked at also themes like, for example, the troubles and bands and things like that. So as well as developing the ideas, the young people had a very hands-on approach to this. So they made the moulds both through clay and also through paper moulds and plastic moulds. But more importantly, they were down and actually got a flavour in the foundry down in the Metropolitan College, and the guy there worked for years in Mackey's, so they got to learn how their forefathers sort of worked in Mackey's, and they made the moulds down in the foundry and also helped with the artists in terms of the welding and the casting of those things. So it was very good, and we think it's, as I say, it's an iconic piece now, and it's very sort of well known within the area, so it's good that young people from the area got a real hands-on feel for it.
Billy, we're outside the actual Alternatives building now on the Woodvale. Tell us about this mosaic mural we're looking at now.
Okay, Alternatives tried with the young people to use different art formats, and the top one, Pete, the Alternatives actually logo, was the first time we'd used mosaic, and we brought an artist in to help us with that. But we learned from the process that maybe we could facilitate that ourselves. So the second one was done with a young women's group, and really again it's the Alternatives logo, and the hands are the young women's hands who feel that you can reach out for Alternatives for help if needed, and that's sort of the idea behind it. So the girls enjoyed the process, and as I say, it's something that we feel that giving them an opportunity to try different things.
And obviously it's a different way of identifying your building.
Yeah, exactly. It's also a piece of advertising, and again it's about using art and giving kids a different sort of experience and skill level.
Now we're outside the Alternatives building here in front of a more modern type of artwork. Just tell us how this one came about.
This was a mural that we done along with Blaze FX, doing graffiti art. Basically, there was young people that were referred to the Intensive Youth Support Programme, and they had volunteer hours to do in the community, and this is something that they come up with that they felt would be something positive to put back into the community.
It's very useful in that it also explains what your organisation does.
Absolutely, it gives the message of who we are, restorative justice, what we use to work with young people, and highlights issues around antisocial behaviour.
Billy, we're in the Spectrum Centre now on the Shankill Road beside an iconic mural of the artist William Connor. Tell us how this one came about.
Well, the thinking behind this mural, Pete, was that we wanted to highlight some of the positive role models within the area, and we wanted to rediscover Connor. At the time there was an exhibition going on, so we were working with a group of young people from Woodvale, and in collaboration with John Johnson, a local artist, we decided that Connor would be an ideal person to focus it on. So Connor was known as a local artist that captured street life in Belfast and the Shankill, and what we did was we took pictures of current locations and landmarks, and then used some of Connor's old images and designs to actually capture the image.
When I took pictures of stuff about the Shankill, like the Commemorating Road Jail, the Orange Hall, the Spectrum Centre.
Well, we got pictures, as Dean said, and like put them up on the overhead projector and drawed them, and we just got pictures of different people and used some of Connor's work to help.
So really it was about trying to get young people in touch with people and positive things that were going on in the area that people probably didn't know. That was the idea behind it.
Billy, we're outside the Spectrum Centre now at a graffiti style mural. Tell us the genesis of this one.
Well, Pete, this was done to coincide with a major conference that was being held in the Spectrum at the time. It was called Arts and Conflict. And we were also doing a project with young people around racism. So the idea that the project was to look at the Northern Ireland Football Club and the IFA, and how, you know, they were doing real sort of positive work to break down sectarianism and racism. So to coincide with the conference, the young people then were identified, and they worked with Blaze FX. And the idea was to do something around racism, so they used the graffiti skills again to highlight an important message as part of that conference. And we used the slogan of the Loyalist Commission at the time, which was "Loyalist or racist, you can't be both." And obviously the theme was about stamping out racism, an important issue to be raised in the area.
Gary, you're one of the young people involved in the creation of this mural back in 2006. Tell us about the work you were doing then.
Well, I was only continuing doing my GCSEs, but I got involved with alternatives through my uncle, and he was saying about the art project. So because it was art in general, I liked it, so of course I was going to do it. And I also liked the message of the racism and loyalist thing, because it's putting a stamp on an identity, and it's trying to help the kids realise this kind of troubles that's going on. And then I also like the fact that it's done by the kids of the Shankill, because it's giving them a chance to get off the roads and the trouble and learn all this stuff, where they can learn how to do art and stuff like this and get messages sent through to other younger kids.
And I believe you're now in art college full time?
Yeah, I've just finished my first year and I've another 3 years to do from that there, so this was another project. I've never done graffiti art, that was the first time, and it was another form of art that I've liked to have done, and hopefully I get a placement here in America where I can learn even more into graffiti art. And then also, because it's a lot of racism out there, I would like to also learn more history into that there.
Now, we're in the Upper Shankill here, and this is another mosaic that's been done by Alternatives. Tell us a bit about this one.
This mosaic was actually done by the young people themselves, obviously working with us in Alternatives. It was done for the Battle of the Somme, the anniversary of the Battle of the Somme, which is a very important issue in the Shankill, and we also combined this project with a cultural awareness programme.
Billy, we're in front of a really distinctive piece of hand-drawn artwork here in the Shankill Road. Tell me a bit about this piece.
Well, the origins of this piece, Pete, was we were working with a local band in the area through the Action for Community Transformation programme, and they were looking at different historical and cultural issues of the area. We were very lucky to have a young lad who was a very talented artist who was working with Alternatives at the time, so we commissioned him to do a sketch drawing of the West Belfast Volunteers of 1913. Which is obviously some of the themes that we were looking at, the Home Rule issue. So basically it was to highlight the contribution in the First World War, and obviously the stance against the Home Rule locally, and that's what the band was looking at. So the young person sketched it, and we got a graphic done of it, and then the band came and unveiled it, and it tied in with what the work that they were doing.
Well, now we're at a major artwork here on Northumberland Street off the Shankill Road. Just tell us what this one's about.
Well, Once again, we worked with Blaze FX and young people from alternatives, and the idea here is that we run focus groups in order to discuss what the young people actually wanted to put up here in the Shankill. And it's really, for me, what it is, it's a welcome to tourists and to outsiders to the Shankill Road. We've looked at a number of themes: Shankill sacrifice, Shankill sport, Shankill culture. And we've used the red hand, a very important, obviously, symbol here in the Shankill Road. But we wanted to show that, yes, we are proud, we are defiant, but we're certainly welcoming to anybody that comes here.
Down in the lower Shankill now, here in Gardiner Street, quite an innovative piece of artwork. Just give me the background of this.
Well, this started with an approach from Impact Training to do some work with the trainees at Impact, and we went in to look at sort of issues of local history and identity, but we wanted to make it practical, and we wanted to utilise the skills that the young people would have in the Impact. So what we did here is a number of things. First thing was we used the young people to photograph the local landmarks. The idea was to produce a tourist map. So it's the first sort of wall you come to on the Shankill, and it basically lets tourists or visitors know that they're welcome to the Shankill, but also practically where places are and landmarks are to see. There's also images that have been sketched by the local artist, the young lad again, young Matthew, and these are role models from the Shankill that we want people to understand and know more about. But to get back to the trainees, what they did was they photographed the landmarks, and the templates that you see on the wall were done through the woodwork section, as well as the lettering. So it utilised their skills, their painting skills, their woodwork skills, and obviously it highlights something that's practical. It can welcome visitors. It's used for letting people know where there's places of interest in the Shankill, and it highlights our positive role models in the area. For me, art is a real hook that you can get young people involved in. It doesn't matter what educational level they're in. Kids can use that flair and that expression to actually get a message across, and for us that's what it's about.